Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I'm Hero Gamer. So I've been just helping around, and in the future, hopefully, I can help the foundation to make this process even better than it is already. So yeah, welcome everybody. Friday, 1st July 2022. So this is just a community call for SIP, anything related to SIP, and it's for everyone. So just to give those who perhaps hasn't been here, hasn't been to this meeting yet, this call is for all the community, like whether you are, core dev or a community member that has good idea. So we hope that we can use this meeting to update the community on what's going on in the SIP world, and some early ideas. So here you can get some updates, and you can also get some very quick education on what SIPs are, because not everybody understands SIP. And if I have to take a real quick guess, how many people actually know SIP even exists? Probably like, no, I wouldn't say more than 50% of the community. So hopefully we can get the awareness and the educational gap up through over the next year. So yeah, so here you can share your ideas. It's actually really good forum. I think Jude already had, many people, Jude, Ryan, Manip, they had a really good brainstorm session on how to improve the minor centralization issue. So yeah, here are a chance for the community to really use this opportunity to use each other's expertise to have like a brain banter, I think, and also to rally for your SIP. If you have your SIP currently pending, maybe not getting looked at, and you want to voice it, here's an opportunity for you as well. So yeah, I think here you can, if you want to develop your SIP, you want to find people, maybe you have an idea, but you don't have the dev knowledge, but maybe we can help you find a partner and things like that. So yeah. So, and if you have idea, you want to gauge interest, I think that's also a good opportunity here. So yeah, just a quick update. We've got a few SIPs in the pipeline that's been accepted, but still need to be recommended. I think one of them might have been moved to recommended. But yeah, there's the one, so that's like sort of in the mid, sort of halfway in the stage, I'll probably say, and there's one that's later in the stage, which is activation in progress. So yeah, I think Marvin and Mike can talk a little bit about that if they wish. But the ones that are earlier in the progress, you can see them on Stacks forum. This may not be the only place that's the conversations are happening, but it is one of the better places right now, and we hope to fine tune how best to have those early ideas becoming a full world scoped SIP proposal onto the GitHub. Maybe the GitHub is when you actually have the SIP more formed and can make a formal proposal. But before that stage, maybe there are other ways and means to get to that to place, and that's where I also hope that I can help you go through that process as well. So some things you can see, like BNS, quite important. Larry is like, I think it's very much on behind that, trying to rally support in improving that. Minor centralization, brainstorming on how to improve stacks fees. Taproot, really important, like really can unlock some features for us on the Stacks blockchain, and mining and etc. So yeah, these are all things that you can join the conversation. Just hop into Stacks forum, etc. So yeah, just for those who perhaps are new here in this session, or just from the community may not be aware what SIPs are. So just to go back to the basic, what is a SIP? So a SIP is just a formal document that tend to live on GitHub and around about how to improve Stacks, really. That's like the Stacks blockchain. It could be informational, it could be like to do with core base code, or it could be to do with how the Stacks blockchain communicate with other parties and stuff like that. So it's just to put simply, just a way to document the improvement that you want to make to Stacks. So for example, last time we had SIP 12, that was to do with better computation so that we can reduce fee. That's the end user, that's a result, that the users can pay less fees. So the SIP process is essentially just taking the idea from a SIP from the beginning to the end. And that's the SIP process. And during the process, there are various stages reviewed by various parties. And we're still trying to fine tune that before the idea, even for generating the idea, for filtering the idea, and then we're still trying to improve way we can communicate or fine tune by adding like consideration advisory boards. So for anybody who's interested, they can let us know. If you want to be on one of those panels that ranges to do with diversity, ethics, technical stuff, and economics, like, you know, to do with the money side of things. So yeah, anybody is free to join that process, and hopefully we'll have lots of ideas from the beginning, and then it will become like some are more recommended, and then you get to like really fine tune to some more critical one that we can all help each other understand and prioritize and have the depth to work on them. So, and you should really care about the SIPs because it affects everything. If we talk about tokenomics of the emissions of the Stacks blockchain, as the Stacks token, that affects you because you need to kind of know, like, oh, you know, if you want to change Bitcoin from 21 million to something else, that affects you, all Bitcoiners. So if somebody has a bright idea, want to adjust a little bit that thing, that affects everybody. So it depends what kind of SIP. It affects different ranges of stakeholders. But yeah, we have this process, so yeah, you can have your voice heard. That's really important, and make your mark in the Stacks Bitcoin history. Like you help to improve Stacks, and Stacks is listening to your feedback, etc. So yeah, so that's just a quick overview of the meeting and a bit about the SIPs process. So yeah, the floor is open for anyone who wants to share the idea. And I noticed one of the members who's on this call has idea about how to tag some of when the SIP gets on the GitHub, which advisory consider as advisory board it should relate to. So those kind of things can be brought up to the table. I think Mike might have something to share with us. So yeah, I'll open the floor. So yeah.
Thanks, Hero, for going over the SIPs again. I think it's a good idea to go over what a SIP is and the process, because we might have some newcomers, and the process is very dense and can be complicated for a newcomer. But yeah, so the floor is open, as Hero said, for any ideas that folks want to discuss. Who was it who had some ideas on how we can tag issues, Hero? Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I think one of the guys, I don't know if he's still here. Wait, how can I see the audience? Yeah, there was a GitHub issue somebody filed on SIP. The name is Node of. He basically was saying he was basically trying to ask people to make it easier. Yeah, so I mean, maybe he can jump to feel free.
Yeah, I can fill in on that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So what I proposed here was a first step towards submitting a SIP, recognizing that making a pull request is set the bar very, very high for submitting a SIP. So what I proposed was that it was just done on the issue tracker, and not done on the issue tracker. That just a quick, brief proposal saying what you intended to submit was posted on the issue tracker, and really that is kind of like the obvious way of doing it. What I added was that there should be a line in the README file and maybe elsewhere too, saying that this is the first step. So that when somebody is saying, hey, I have an idea about how to improve stacks, they have an immediate first step to do. And then, from there, from having exposed their idea, it's possible to follow up with hand-holding and bringing them into the process and doing all the other things. But we need a way to just capture, and that's the purpose here, to just capture people's ideas and initiative and get them funneled into the process. So that pretty much summarizes up the proposal. I guess that most here have already maybe taken a look at it. It's under the SIPs on the issue tracker. Any more comments on it, or anybody that needs some clarifications or anything?
So are you suggesting that this should work kind of like ETH domains do, where you can go visit a DNS name of like jack.eth and it should load the HTTP content?
Can you clarify that a bit? I'm not sure what you had in mind.
So I know we had that issue a couple weeks ago, where we were suggesting that basically do the same thing as you're proposing, but instead of posting it as a open issue, we post it on the forum, and then from there it becomes a SIP through a pull request. I'm personally fine either way. I hope the process can meet users where they are. The rationale for using the forum is that signing up for a GitHub account is in of itself also a barrier to entry.
Well, then signing up for the forum would also be a barrier to entry. But there is a point there that maybe the forum, or maybe even something like posting on Discord, could be the first. That we have a tips channel on Discord, and just saying that you have, that you're interested or have some idea there would be the very, very first step.
Yeah, I think
so that would be kind of lowering it fully, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying here. Forgive me for pronouncing this. Turja?
Yeah, that's fine. It's Tadja, but kind of like I take a lot of pronunciations.
Understood. Okay. I understand what Jude is saying here, because GitHub is kind of like outside of the Stacks community, so it is a barrier to entry to some people. Whereas the forum, technically people would already be in the community to join the forum or Discord. So I can see what he's saying, that maybe that should be the starting point for SIP discussions versus a GitHub issue. Eventually it should reach GitHub, but that could be a later stage in the process.
I will probably voice from a user perspective that are probably a bit more non-devy. So yeah, I think both have its own challenge, like barrier-wise, but I think with GitHub, after I signed up, it was still quite intimidating, how to navigate. Whereas forum, you sign up, but you don't have to be an expert to navigate it. So I think in terms of navigation and how perhaps scary it is to begin with, to get participation from the non-dev people, I think forum might be the better one out of the two specific on that aspect.
I think a combination of both, honestly. We can probably do something with the forum so there's a tighter integration with that Discord channel. So, for example, if we have a forum category for SIPs, we could create a SIPs channel in Discord and have the forum send notifications back to Discord so people are aware of what's happening in the forum.
Yeah, we actually found a tool for this, or Mitchell did.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm discussing.
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple thing to integrate. I think it's just via webhook. But I hear Tadia's point about the forum also being a barrier to entry, because you would have to sign up for that, which eventually I would hope that new people in the community would want to, just because it's a great place for discussion. But if the easiest way for them to jump in is to share ideas on Discord, then we'll have a SIPs channel on Discord as well. And then when they're ready to sort of post something more long form, they can use the forum. And yeah, I agree with Hero that even after signing up for GitHub, it can be still intimidating for someone who's non-technical.
I think Discord forum, I think you can sign in with Discord.
That's correct.
So you don't have to create an account. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So, I mean, the barrier to entry there is a little less.
Yeah.
If you're in the community, you most likely have a Discord login for the Stacks community, and you can use that to access the forum today.
Yeah, I think Discord sounds like the very lowest barrier to entry. The problem there would be that we don't necessarily want the longer discussion to be there, because then it's hard to track, hard to find it later on. So maybe just a little bit in each show, kind of talk about the idea there, and then quickly funneled over to somewhere where we can capture the discussion and have it available for review later on.
I kind of think I've been thinking about this as well, and looking at Gina's post about this a few weeks ago. Was it Gina? Yeah, I kind of agree. And also there's an issue about the single source of truth, and the information's all together in GitHub is quite important. I was looking at the GitHub API today and thinking, because I'm starting to think about this DAO project where we could do things like open up activation. One of the activation criteria could be a vote through the DAO as a sign of approval for a SIP, for example. So I'm kind of thinking about these issues as well. Yeah, I think Discord is great, and it could be like we could jazz up some of this stuff on a separate UI on an app. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I already kind of commented on this Discord that we have a drinks meme channel, which I don't think get used much. We can replace that with the SIP channel. I think there's just like some other bits like announcement, just like yeah, we could move the important channels to the top. But yeah, SIP is, if SIP we really want to get more participation, I think it could sit on one of the could simply replace that drinks meme channel.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is important here is that it's complemented by some clear instruction about what the first step should be. Like similar to what I suggested for if you did it on GitHub, would also be for Discord there, that it's clearly stated that here you can make your first, proposal, first a brief proposal about the thing. And that is stated as the first step somewhere, or many places for that matter, so that we make it obvious that is the first step.
Yeah,
I'm in favor of all this. Yeah, we can work on that tighter integration between Discord and the forum. And then we can create the new channel in Discord and then see how that works. Obviously we'll have to adjust over time, but I think it's a good starting point.
Sounds good. Do we want to form a small working group. It sounds like these solutions would be pretty easy to get up and running. Maybe we can connect offline and get like a small task force or working group up to put those steps in place.
Yeah, it's not technically hard. It's just the hard part is finding the time. And it kind of looks like this is going to fall in my lap. So yeah, I just have a lot of things going on. If someone can help me with it, I would absolutely welcome it.
I'm kind of looking at this as well, Jesse, so I'd be happy to help.
Okay. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put my Discord username into the chat here. You can ping me there.
Is there somebody else who knows the stuff like the website, discourse, stuff like that around in the community? Do you know?
I mean, by default, I think it's me that knows the
Larry.
most about it.
Larry, who
Yeah.
works on new enterprise. Wait, I think I messed it up. He's based in Hong Kong, but he's very familiar with it as well. Maybe we could see if he could help out as well.
Yeah, it's a good point, Larry. I mean, there's not that many admins on the forum today that are active or have been active in the recent past.
Yeah, it would be worth reaching out to Larry then, because he actually reached out recently about improving moderation on the forum. So this could be one of the ways we do that, since so much of the discussion is probably SIP worthy or SIP related. So, okay, yeah, we can talk offline about this, Jesse and Hero, and just project manage some of this soon.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to his comment on the steps to proposing a SIP. Over the course, if I get to become the SIP president, then I will definitely make that's definitely one of my tasks, to have some sort of visual steps, how to get from how to propose your SIP, like what to do, where to go to. And hopefully I can make a chart of the steps that needs to be taken to make that to everybody. So everybody's, it cannot be misinterpreted. Like you know what to do based on the chart, well, just some sort of flow diagram.
Great, thanks, Hero. Okay, are there any other comments on that issue? Okay, if not, I think we can move on to the discussion topic, which I think, Hero, you've got some background that you want to present on it. And I know Mike is also here to talk about a potential solution for it.
Yep. Just let me share my screen again. So I think most people here are aware of the SIP 12 voting. But yeah, I'll just briefly go over in case anyone wasn't there last year. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, right. Anyway, SIP 12. Oh, what's this? Can you see this? Okay, so SIP 12 was to do with costs, basically. I think most people here in audience knows. Oh. And we had like loads of it was a great like process, like from what I've seen anyway as a user back then. People in the community like vouch for it, exchanges participated, protocols built on SIP, the dApps also joined in voicing their support. And even like after the SIP happened, it's been passed, even people were still discussing the implication of the SIP 12 and how people can take advantage of that and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, it was definitely a really good process. in terms of people's participation in discussion and in signaling their support, which is quite important. Like if you're into Bitcoin, you know how important like signaling your support is. So that is a truly decentralized protocol that follows the social consensus of the group, everybody. And then we had loads of votes. Nobody was against. We had loads of stacks that were represented. We had 28 votes. So although the process of like signaling support were really good, but when it actually came down to actual vote, I think 28 might not, I think for where we are now in the life cycle of stacks, I think that number, we can definitely get it up more, especially for the next round. So I was just thinking about like, what can we do? And you can already kind of tell from last vote how to vote. Like the process, it was definitely technically sound, but it wasn't able to include more than 28 votes for some reason. So I was thinking over the past few months, like I'd love to get more actual votes up. So yeah, I'm gonna open the floor to people to say what they think, how potentially we can get more participation to get this number up. And I know Mike has some ideas of the things he's working on. So if he wants to talk about that, but it's everybody's idea are welcome. So yeah, I'll leave the floor open again.
One of the things I think from the last like voting, one of the challenges was people who had their stacks locked, like in something like stacking, especially if they were in a pool or they're custodied, they may not be able to vote because it required like sending a transaction from a wallet that maybe they didn't fully have control over. Was that something that was addressed, or did that get resolved? I just remember it kind of being a topic in the past.
I don't know about that, Brittany. I could say what I've been working on with Marvin over the last few weeks is, the executor DAO that Marvin created. I'm not sure when, way back when. I've been busy writing clarinet tests for it, and we've been extending it with the ability to do delegation, so kind of liquid democracy style. And then a few weeks ago, the thought occurred, why not use executor DAO in this kind of process and build something and release it for the Stacks community to actually create some engagement and ability to run votes like this. So I'd love to get some thoughts and feedback on the basic idea. We've been considering it kind of within the team, starting to talk to people on Discord and on the Clarity Lab channel on Discord about this. I think I've got a session with you, Meti, on Monday to discuss it, because there's obviously lots of different ways to launch a DAO and to set up the governance token. And I think we want to do it in the kind of the most friendly way that we can. So I'm kind of trying to consult on what that actually means to actually the tokenomics around the governance token itself. But I think that would solve the problem that you're alluding to, Brittany, in the sense that you wouldn't need to be voting more locking stacks to do this. You'd just be locking the governance token that you've got. It's very elegant. The executor DAO is very elegant, actually.
Do you have any materials for the DAO that you can share, Mike? I know that you guys have gotten pretty far on it. I don't know if there are any graphics or diagrams that you have to show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of working on APIs and a little bit of kind of user interface stuff. We've written a grant application, so I don't really, Jenny, at the moment, but I could present something next week, if that's okay.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I'm mostly curious about the governance token side of it and how that would be used for voting. I know that's like a contentious topic, and that's why you're meeting with Maddie.
Yeah, I've got, you know, I've sensed that. So I haven't sort of had explicit conversations with anybody where it's come up as contentious, but I'm kind of sensing that that's the case. So I want to consult really and try and do this in the fairest and most egalitarian way that we can. I mean, like from my point of view, we could even lock transfers of the token and just mint it through the DAO so that everybody gets the same amount of token. And then it's not an economic, tokenomic kind of issue at all. So there's a whole range of kind of things that we could do with the token. But let me prepare it properly and I'll present it to the group next week, if that's all right.
I think the way I heard it last time was you could even just airdrop these. These are they're not really for selling. You don't need to pay for them, right? Like they could simply just be a token that you're just using it for the purpose of participating in different stuff. They are not.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've actually written an issue in our GitHub, in the Clarity Innovation Lab GitHub, about this. I'll just dig out the link to it. So I've created an issue. I just basically said there's so many different ways to do this and so many different permutations that I'd love to hear from other people and hear what people think about how to do it. I think you're right, Hero, that it could just be airdropped. It could be, you know, there's many ways. It doesn't need to be run as a normal kind of DAO governance token. It could just be airdropped to people.
Would you be able to explain what the difference between the executor DAO and the ecosystem DAO?
So the ecosystem DAO is a instance of executor DAO. So I think a few projects have picked up executor DAO and then tailored it and then deployed it as their own. So executor DAO is like a reference implementation that Marvin's built. And then a project will take that and turn it into their own DAO and use it within their project. I think Alex have done that and Stacker DAO have done that as well. So we're doing the same, and that's what ecosystem DAO is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so what can ecosystem DAO do that executor DAO cannot? And how I guess like what we're also interested, helping the SIP activation procedure process. So yeah, maybe two questions. What can the ecosystem DAO do that executor DAO cannot? And do you have any idea how we could integrate that into the SIP activation procedure?
Yeah, I mean that's basically the conversation that we're starting. So ecosystem DAO could be used as a DAO for the community to vote on SIP activation. So it could be integrated through through a UI. So we build a UI around ecosystem DAO that then links to GitHub and pulls in SIPs that are in activation in progress. But that would be up to the community to decide how that works. I'm not proposing how that should work at the moment, but it's something that we could do.
Yeah, and I think I'd add to that a little too, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but on one side, this is a way to put together like a front end, back end, full on working example, like we've seen in other projects, but things that can be fed back upstream. So if a new extension is created, for example, for this purpose, it could easily put back down and given back to executor DAO and done the same way. So I think with that in mind, it's really just a way to use this technology to solve some of the problems that we see around this process, and then like learn from that and be able to bring that back to the original reference implementation.
Exactly. Yeah. So all of this is kind of PRs on top of executed app, which can be pulled in by the projects. I dropped the link to the issue that we started in the chat.
What do people think? Do you think do people think it's beneficial to have better voting mechanisms than last time? Just a general question.
To have better what mechanism? Sorry, I missed the word.
Sorry, just yeah, do people think it's useful to have a better way of voting and participating than last time? Or do you think like last time was, you know, was good, or like we can leave it, for example, as it is?
I feel like the issue is less, I mean, for the time and the context, the way that voting happened was pretty seamless. It seems like the challenge that we're trying to solve here is just getting more people to turn out. And so looking at the way that voting was conducted last time, we can see that there were some barriers to entry. So moving forward, if there are any tools that we can implement to make it easier for people to vote, I think that would be ideal. Because as you always say, Hero, it's important that people take the SIPS process seriously because these changes impact everyone, whether you're technical or non-technical or building a project on Stacks or not. It's the kind of thing that would make us want to see, you know, at least like a 5x sort of turnout compared to the number of people that participated last time.
Yeah, cool. Do we know if when the next SIP voting might actually happen, around which quarter or which month?
I don't. Aaron, would you have any insight into that? Because I know that the 2.1 upgrade is coming up. And I don't know if that will have a vote attached to it soon after.
It would have a vote associated with it before anything went live. So if you look at the sort of progression of SIP 15, you'll be able to see basically an estimate of that. But that should be in the next couple months. Like SIP 15 progress has been moving along at a steady cadence, mostly thanks to the work of Jude. Yeah.
Okay, so we could see that vote as early as late August.
I think that that's possible. Yeah.
Okay. Also, it's timely to discuss this voting process, and maybe it's worth us getting some notes down on ways we can improve that to get more people to turn out. I don't know if you all had ideas for how you were going to run it. I think based on what Judah said, it was going to be fairly similar to the vote for SIP 12.
Yeah, I think that that's how it's shaping up now, is that it'll be pretty similar to SIP 12. There are some like mechanics that we had been working on for doing this more in an on-chain fashion, not directly related to the voting, but maybe related to automatically like shutting down nodes in preparation for a hard fork based on the content of a vote. There's an open PR in the Stacks blockchain repo that implements some of this, but it depends on primitives that would be nice to have in Stacks 2.1. So yeah, so the Stacks 2.1 voting process is likely to look very similar to the SIP 12.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Aaron. All right, well, if there are no other thoughts on this topic, Hero, maybe we can end the meeting a little early, but also would encourage folks to keep thinking about this, especially because we might have a vote coming up pretty soon. And I see some of you on the call have been active in SIP discussions before. Zan, I know that you had a big proposal out on the forum about modifying the Coinbase reward, and that got a lot of engagement. So this is the perfect place to discuss those kinds of proposals further. If you are interested, let us know and we can make time for you in one of the upcoming weekly meetings.
Yep, no need to discuss. Thanks, Jenny.
Great. Thanks, Anne. Hero, anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
No, just no, no, I think yeah, like let us know like how you think this meeting could be better organized or better yeah, like what do you think could be useful to see more discussed in the meeting, or yeah, I think it will help us to better use everybody's time, because I know everybody's times here are very precious. So I think what would you prefer? What would you like to see? What would you like to see more? What would you like to see less of? Feel free to let us know. Yeah, let me know, or whoever.
Thanks, Hero. And Mike, looking forward to the materials that you're putting together for next week's meeting on Executor DAO.
Great, thanks, Jen.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
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 Take care.